In today's video, we're going to be going over a window tinting Google Ads case study. I'm going to show you how we've generated over 100 leads so far on this campaign and how you might be able to take some of those things and apply them to your campaign. So if you're new here, my name is Chris. I cover all things Google Ads and local lead generation. If you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'm just going to get my face out of the way here and we'll jump into the campaign and go over the case study. All right, so let's get going. You can see the numbers here. 114 conversions at a cost per conversion of $15 each. And this isn't even for a 30-day period. This is a very new campaign. We're literally still figuring out keywords and figuring out bid strategies and all that. So still a lot to do on this campaign, but it was honestly just kind of killing it right out of the gate. So I figured might as well hit the record button and put together a case study for this one. So big disclaimer, this is not typically what happens right out of the gate. A couple other big things with this client. They are in Las Vegas, so your market may vary in terms of cost per click and all that kind of stuff. So this is not typical. Do not expect this. Also, one other big point that is different for this client is they actually do mobile window tint installation. So I think they are hitting a very unique part of the market where everybody kind of has to drop their car off at a shop. They can offer something very much more convenient for their particular clients and their clientele, and they kind of address that issue in the market, and they show up at their doorstep, tint their windows at their house, and I think that's really helping with the conversion rate on this campaign. You can see 37% of people who have clicked on the ad have either filled out a form or placed a phone call, and just so you can kind of see that these conversions are actual conversions. They're not just, a name and an email or anything like that. We go into the conversions here. We have 53 form submissions, 46 people have placed a phone call on the landing page, and then 15 people have called from the phone number on the ad so far on this campaign. And going through the rest of the numbers, we're at a $75 a day budget. Nowadays with window tinting, you really have to have a bit of a higher budget. And what I'd really emphasize outside of the budget and the Google Ads stuff is you want to make sure that your sales process is really dialed in. You need to have your numbers sorted out. You need to be able to take some of these leads and then convert them into sales, whether that's, a baseline kind of a package, whether it's just standard films or ceramic films, or, upselling them to other services further down the line or with your service that you're delivering for them. You need to be able to really maximize those leads because nowadays cost per click in a lot of other markets in tinting is way up. So you need to make sure you have those parts of your process really, really dialed in because it's kind of tough to make the campaigns profitable if you don't have that dialed in. Thankfully for this client, they have definitely been on top of that and they are, they've been able to close a lot of these leads into new customers for them. But anyway, back to the numbers, $75 a day budget, 307 clicks, hitting a little over a 9% click-through rate. Cost per click is really good in this market, $5.64. In this time window, we've had 114 leads, 37% conversion rate, which is just kind of ridiculous right off the bat. We actually last week had it on max conversions for the first handful of days, and it was like 40-50%, which was, it felt kind of broken, but it was actually that. We're testing another bid strategy. All that's kind of in flux right now, but either way, with the bid strategies going up and down, 37% conversion rate, $15 cost per lead, and there's still a ton to do on this campaign. So really coming out the gate strong, but let me walk you through some of the things that we're doing on this campaign to kind of show you a bit about, why it's working and what we're doing. So the first thing I think it's important to talk about is campaign structure. Talk about this in a lot of videos, but one thing I see all the time on campaigns is people take all of their keywords, they drop them into one ad group, and then they just run all of that traffic to one ad. You want to make sure you're taking your keywords and then splitting them up into relevant ad groups. Typically in window tinting, it's going to be, pretty simple for a lot of campaigns. There's not a ton of variation. Obviously, if you have other services, if you are a shop that does PPF, ceramic coatings, things like that, you'll probably want to have other campaigns with those keywords in them. But for window tinting, it's going to be pretty straightforward. This one is obviously we have mobile as well, which seems to be doing pretty well right now in terms of the amount of traffic and click-through rate and conversion rate. So mobile is doing really well, but you have standard window tinting and then geographic ad groups here. So these are obviously keywords where people type in something like window tinting Las Vegas, window tinting Henderson, and you want to have those in there as well because you can write ads that are relevant to that particular search and then send them to landing pages that are also relevant to what they're searching for. And that relevance is really important with any Google Ads campaign. You need to make sure that the ads that you're showing to people who are searching in Google are relevant to what they're searching for. That's how you're going to get better click-through rates and then better conversion rates. You can see on this mobile ad group right here, 44 clicks, 21% click-through rate, and a 45% conversion rate, which is kind of ridiculous in something that is not an emergency service. And I think it's really important also to kind of hammer the point home for this client specifically is their differentiator is that they are mobile. And I think that is something, just as somebody from, the consumer standpoint, is kind of a big deal. They're addressing something in the market where a lot of times you might not want to drop your car off at a shop. So having that option to just have them do it in your driveway is massive. And I think that's why this is converting better than some of the other tinting campaigns that I've had. Obviously, there are, things to consider in terms of efficiency and stuff like that from operating with just everybody dropping their car off at the shop. But that's a whole other conversation. But that is something to keep in mind with this campaign is that they do have that mobile kind of differentiator. So that conversion rate on a lot of these is just kind of wild because of that. But that said, that is not the only thing that's going to get you a better conversion rate. There's other things you have to consider, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, when it comes to the keywords on your campaign, you want to make sure you are using only phrase and exact match keywords, and you want to make sure that your keywords are high intent. You don't want to just have keywords in here that just say like window tinting, and that's it, with no little modifiers on it, or just putting in the keyword tinting or something like that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot of really, really irrelevant traffic, and that traffic is not going to convert to leads. So you want to make sure you're controlling what your ads are showing up for. Best ways to do that is have high quality, high intent keywords like this window tinting near me, window tint Las Vegas, window tint near me, mobile tint Las Vegas, all these kind of keywords. And then make sure your match types are phrase and exact. If you just put broad match keywords in here, your ads are going to be showing up for a massive range of just, to be honest, just irrelevant stuff that you don't want to be showing up for. So make sure you're controlling your traffic with the right keywords and the right match types. And then on top of that, you want to make sure you have negative keywords. I have a ton for this campaign already. We're, at 1,800. I've pulled this from other window tinting campaigns and built another one for this market. So you want to have these negative keywords in there as well, because you layer these things together and it cleans up what your ads show for. Because if you're going into your search terms report and you're not seeing relevant traffic like window tinting near me, window tint Las Vegas, whatever is relevant for your market, you're not seeing stuff that you want to be showing up for, you need to build a negative keyword list and get your search traffic in control. Because if you're not showing up for the right search traffic, you're not going to get leads, and then your campaign's just not going to be profitable. Like, it doesn't matter what you do with the page, with your service. If you're getting the wrong kind of traffic, it's not going to convert and you're not going to get leads. Then beyond the traffic and everything like that, we're actually running this on mobile and computers. And in fact, computers is actually outperforming mobile. So typically what I'll do on a lot of campaigns is I'll let it run for a bit and I'll see what's working better. And then I'll figure out, do I allocate more traffic to mobile, more to computers? Typically what happens is I'll run computers, they'll convert really poorly, and then I'll just turn computers off and just make it a mobile only campaign. In this case, we still have a percentage of the traffic going to computers. Click-through rate's a little bit lower, but it's converting 40% of traffic into leads. So I'm leaving it. In this case, I'm just leaving it in there, not really going to touch it. I like where the cost per click is at, and honestly, I could probably bid up mobile or desktop or whatever I want to do. In this case, I'm just happy with the numbers, so I'm probably just going to leave it mobile and computers and then kind of go from there. That's just part of the whole optimization process. Now, one last thing we got to talk about really quick, and I mentioned conversion rates a little bit before, is you need to make sure you're sending traffic to ideally a landing page, or at the very least, a very well optimized page on a website. I would still recommend landing pages over that because generally they're going to convert better. And when it comes to getting cheaper leads from your Google Ads campaign, you just need to convert more traffic into leads. The higher you can get this conversion rate number, the cheaper your cost per lead is going to be. One of the best ways to do that, one of the biggest levers you can pull to make that happen, is with landing pages. Now, for this campaign and really any of my client campaigns, I don't show off the ads and I don't show off the landing pages because that is sort of, the secret sauce, I guess you could say, and I don't want to just be putting this client stuff out there on the internet. But what I can do is I can show you a demo landing page and just sort of walk you through what that might look like. You've probably seen this. If you've seen any other of my videos, I just have this demo landing page that I'll walk through. It's a very generic page. So in this case, imagine this is for a tinting client. So really what it is, you got to send them to pages where they can't just like click off and go to different pages and, go to the service page, about us page, look at the reviews, go off to social media, all those sorts of things. You need to make sure they hit this page, and they pretty much have two options. Either they can become a lead or they can go back to Google. And that might sound a little bit restrictive, but we need to make sure that we're controlling the experience and pushing people towards that call to action. Because ultimately, if we're paying for traffic, if we're literally paying Google to send people to this page, we want to convert as many of those people as possible into leads, or else the campaign's not going to be profitable. So landing pages, they're really basic. You just need to have, what people searched for on the page, and it just needs to be relevant. It needs to be simple. It needs to work on mobile, like you can see here. You need to have your calls to action, about information, service information, pictures, reviews are very important, but you need to make sure that you are sending people to landing pages, or like I said, really optimize website pages, because that is going to help you boost up that conversion rate, get you a better conversion rate, and cut down your cost per lead. So make sure you're not skipping that step. It is so important and will make a massive difference on your Google Ads campaigns. So that's it for this case study. If I could really boil it down to a few things, it really just comes down to you want to get the right traffic. You want to make sure you're structuring your campaign to be relevant to what people are searching for. And then you need to send that traffic to pages that actually convert. If you focus on those three things, you're most likely going to have success with Google Ads, whether it's in window tinting like this campaign is here, or any other local service kind of industry. So if you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alternatively, if you are somebody who wants to DIY this yourself, there's a link in the description below for a free tutorial that I have on this YouTube channel, and you can find a ton of other content on this channel that'll teach you a lot about Google Ads. Also, if you are the owner of a window tint shop, or if you do mobile window tinting like this client, there's a link in the description for a free consultation. You can fill that out. It'll get sent over to me, and I can see if I can help you out. Because if you don't want to implement all this, you don't want to deal with any of this, I might be able to help you get that done for you. So that's it for this video. If you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.